And Fox News confirmed Iran struck the U.S. Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia on Friday with ballistic missiles and drones, injuring at least 12 U.S. service members. 2 of the Americans are in serious condition, U.S. officials said. At least one KC-135 air refueling plane was hit and reportedly on fire as a result of the strike. But what got people's attention was a valuable U.S. Air Force E-3 Sentry AWACS command and control plane worth about $500 million, one of just a dozen or so in the U.S. inventory. It was also hit in a direct strike on Friday. It is a valuable plane that is essentially a flying command center, giving U.S. forces a picture of the battlefield. The base, which is deep inside Saudi Arabia, points to Iran getting targeting assistance from the Russians. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told Fox News' Matt Finn in a sit-down interview that Ukraine has intelligence showing Russian satellites photographing U.S. military facilities in the Middle East, including the U.S.-UK joint military facility on Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean that Iran targeted last week. On March 25th, the Russians took satellite pictures of the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi. Zelensky wrote on X, 2 days later, a direct strike on U.S. assets parked on a tarmac in Saudi Arabia. Harris.
Jennifer, thank you very much. In Focus Now, Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State and President Trump's first term and a Fox News contributor. Great to see you.
But I'm confident our men and women are up for it, whether it's the capacity to control the airspace, the ability to get in and out. The intelligence, along with our Israeli partners, I'm sure is very good about the whereabouts of this. But make no mistake about it, this will be a difficult mission. It is fraught. Things go wrong when you move people around. Airplanes break. Things happen. So it's not without risk. But you can't eliminate the Iranian nuclear weapons program in the way that President Trump has talked about doing without getting at this enriched uranium. So you'll have all the enriched uranium out. You will have destroyed their capacity to continue to enrich.
I always feel like when you and I sit down, I get so much more information than anybody bet on, because you also were the director of the CIA. So let's talk intelligence for a second.
I'm very confident that between us and the Israelis, we have a pretty good sense of what's actually taking place inside of Iran today. You don't see much of it. There's a news blackout, right? So you don't see a great deal of what's taking place. The success of this campaign is blurred by the fact that the Ayatollah, or the Ayatollah's replacement, or whoever the heck's in charge today, doesn't want us to see the devastation that has been wrought by the U.S. military.
Look, from the beginning of this, the president had said not his goal necessarily for a regime change. And my sources at the Pentagon have told me that, yeah, that's definitely the case. Their focus is on the military, you know, the strategy and their directives. So could that come? Do we have the patience for that? Or do we deal with what now is this interim that the president says is much better?
Look, my sense of it is this: is you're going to get a change in the regime. That is, its behavior is going to change, and that's what we're shooting for. It may be the case that we don't ultimately get, Thomas Jefferson installed in Iran or his equivalent, right? But we will get a regime that is no longer capable of having these terror proxies around the world. It can no longer threaten the strait and deny commerce moving through. The behavior of the regime will have to change, and that's what President Trump's been driving for. And I think these tactical operations that we talk about, 13,000 targets, strategically have had far more impact than the world has seen.
Yeah, the only thing they can manage to do is turn off the internet for the rest of the people. And you heard President Trump commenting on that. That hurts their ability on the ground to then rise up, obviously, because they can't talk to each other. It's a country that's like the size of 2.5, if not 3 Californias.
Yeah, 80 million people, big challenge. More work to be done to give the Iranian people the chance they need to actually go do this. Now, when you continue to run Evin prison and torture and conduct rape at the way the Iranian regime has done, it is very difficult for people to rise up. The Basij is still in the streets. The Israelis are working hard on that to take these checkpoints down.
Right.
But it's a big country with a deep infrastructure, a very different problem set than is Venezuela or some of the other smaller places.
All right, real quickly, the Basij is still in the streets.
I understand they're still on the streets, still working. We hope they'll all change their minds and decide they want to be part of the future and not part of the evil past.
As for all of them who have killed so many.
Amen.
Great to see you.
Great to be with you, Harris.
We can achieve all of our objectives with our ground troops, but we are always going to be prepared to give the president maximum optionality and maximum opportunity to adjust to contingencies should they emerge.
Yeah, it was.
Since 1979, these people have been terrorizing the world. They've got American blood on their hands, and here's what we accomplished in 20 days. Their missile program has been obliterated.
But
their
we saw
nuclear
the missile
program
that went
has been
towards
obliterated,
Garcia.
and they're running out of money. So here's what I tell President Trump. Keep it up for a few more weeks. Take Carg Island, where all of the resources they have to produce oil, control that island, let this regime die on a vine. Hopefully the people will rise up. What I'm looking for is defanging Iran so we can move to peace. The Iranian people one day will have ability to take their country back. But we have the best chance in 2,000 years when Iran is neutralized for Saudi and Israel to recognize each other in the Arab-Israeli conflict. That is my goal. That is President Trump's goal. 2026 could be the biggest year since 1945 if we neutralize Iran. Don't let them do it again.
Well, okay, that's something it is crucial that the president, that the US is doing this, to take out the nuclear capability and the ballistic missile capability, because this is posing a threat. It is an existential threat to Israel. It is a threat to the region. It is a threat to Europe, to the whole world. And so it is really crucial that the US is doing this. And I hope that people understand that argument, even if they're doubting whether it was necessary or not. It is necessary, and I commend the president's leadership on this.
The relationship's a very good one, I think so. You know, we want more or less similar things. You know what we want? We want victory, both of us, and that's what we've got. Well, you know, I may have a plan or I may not, but how would I ever say that to a reporter? If I said that to a reporter, Marco would say, "Please, sir, let's bring you over to the helicopter immediately." Right? No, I can't tell you that. It's certainly a place that's people are talking about, but I can't say. Yeah.
We have in our hemisphere a regime operated by an indicted narco-trafficker that became a base of operation for virtually every competitor, adversary, and enemy in the world. It was, for Iran, their primary spot of operation in the Western Hemisphere was Venezuela. For Russia, their primary base of operation in the Western Hemisphere, along Cuba and Nicaragua, was Venezuela. In the case of China, China was receiving oil at a huge, about $20 a barrel discount, and they weren't even paying money for it. It was being used to pay down debt that they were owed. This is the oil of the people of Venezuela, and it was being given to the Chinese as barter at a 20%, at a $20 discount per barrel in some cases. And so you had basically three of our primary opponents in the world operating from our hemisphere from that spot.
U.S. President Donald Trump hosted Latin American leaders in Florida on Saturday to announce the formation of a military coalition against drug cartels.
The heart of our agreement is a commitment to using lethal military force to destroy the sinister cartels and terrorist networks once and for all. We'll get rid of them.
At least a dozen.
In this context and in pursuit of peace is necessary.
Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They're not the bully of the Middle East anymore.